Don't pinch, Miley, Skylar.
Losing a pet can be one of the most heartbreaking life experiences. We just said goodbye to Miley, our 16-year-old Boston Terrier. And she wasn't just a dog. She was family. Boston Terriers have become a family tradition of sorts. After our childhood Boston passed in 2007, it devastated me in a way that I was not prepared for. And a few short months after that, my sister let me know that the pet store next to her apartment had just gotten an adorable Boston puppy that I had to come see. I honestly wasn't even thinking about getting a dog, but on a whim, I decided to go check her out. And as soon as I held her, I immediately felt like she had been sent there for me. We bonded quickly, and I was amazed at how smart she was. Maybe it was because I was a professional magician that she wanted to learn all the tricks she could. She learned to crawl on command.
Crawl here. Crawl. Good girl. Good girl.
And even stand up and spin around for a treat.
Come here, go up and spin around. Spin for me. Good girl.
She also had this strange ability to recognize dogs on TV. But not just real dogs, cartoon ones too. And we never understood that. In addition to being one of the most perfectly beautiful Boston Terriers you've ever seen, her personality was so quirky and unique. In typical Boston fashion, she had a wide variety of facial expressions, ranging from subtle to overly animated. She could shame you with a guilty face, or charm you with an adoring gaze. She was elegant and graceful, eager for attention, but also eager to earn your praise. She loved her ducky.
Bring me the ducky.
Belly rubs, going for walks, car rides, and of course, her two favorite words ever, dog park. There was nothing she loved more, and it was always a joy to watch how excited she would get.
You're going to the dog park?
It became kind of a ritual to hype her up before we took her, watching the anticipation build as we got closer and closer until we would let her loose. She would go out of her way to play with every dog that she saw. If there was a group of dogs gathered around, it was most likely Miley in the middle. It didn't matter the size of the dog, nothing intimidated her. She was fearless, she was confident. If you had a toy, she was probably going to steal it and say, "Come and get me." In addition to stealing toys, she would also steal any extra bites of food that she could. She was highly persuasive at that. She would steal your warm spot on the couch. Your pillows were not safe. And of course, she was definitely stealing your heart. I said she was elegant and graceful. Most of the time. She could turn into a slobber face when she got excited. And she also had this strange affinity to, well, assert her dominance. And she always had this crazy look on her face when she did it. For the first few years, she was with me in LA, but also stayed with my parents in Connecticut for periods of time. This only made my dad want a Boston of his own. So for Christmas one year, my mom decided to surprise him.
No. Is that what I think of?
And that's where we got Daly. Miley couldn't have been more thrilled. It was like her very own mini-me. So she stayed behind for the first year to help with training, and they quickly became inseparable. Over the next few years, she spent time with me while I lived in Colorado, and also when I moved back to LA in 2013. And lucky for her, I had roommates in both places that also had Bostons.
Who is that? Doggies. Someone sees a suitcase. What's going on?
Long-distance separation can be hard on dogs. If she saw me packing for a trip, sometimes she'd fall asleep in my suitcase in hopes that she might get to come along. My mom would tell me that anytime I would leave after a visit, she would stay sitting on my bed for days.
You miss Tom?
We would FaceTime, and she would get so excited when she heard my voice.
Miley. You miss me?
When we would get reunited after a long time away, it was always a special moment. As I went from freelancing to working full-time, it didn't really make sense to bring her back out here only to have her stuck at home without me all day. So ultimately she ended up staying in Connecticut. It was hard, but I also knew that it was the best thing for her, and Daly certainly didn't mind. The average lifespan of a Boston is between 11 and 13 years. But at 13 and even 14, Miley actually looked younger than Daly and didn't show any signs of slowing down. People started referring to her as a little legend, and she kind of was one. And we even had a small cameo in a Lindsay Lohan movie that my sister worked on. But eventually, the aging started to catch up. Her hearing seemed to just vanish one day. She stopped barking and giving kisses, and slowly the joy and spark of life started to fade. As her mind and body began to fail, we knew that her time was coming. The night before we said goodbye, my family all got together and I joined them on FaceTime. My nephews and everyone spent time giving her extra attention and love. We think Daly must have also known, because in her final days she stayed right by her side. My dad also took her by the dog park, and amazingly, it managed to elicit a very muffled but still audible woof. A final farewell to her favorite place. We would always say that Miley was Miss Perfect, because she really was. The next day when my mom and sister took her to the vet, she was completely and totally at peace. She passed quickly and painlessly, a perfect ending for a perfect dog, and I'm grateful for that. And as hard as it is to say goodbye, I also have peace knowing that there's very little we could have done differently. Miley! She got to live a long, full, and amazing life. She never dealt with any serious injuries or illnesses. She got to live in 3 different states with 3 different Boston Terriers.
There she goes!
And most importantly, she had a life filled with love and brought so much joy to everyone she ever met. Hard to ask for more. Miley, you really were perfect, and we will miss you.